Thank you. So, Mr. Speaker, we hear that the province just lost $120 million because two major corporations using Alberta's tax loopholes avoid paying what is the lowest corporate tax rate in Canada. Mr. Speaker, this PC government fails to even collect the lowly sum it asks corporations to pay. Billions have been left on the table, Mr. Speaker, and everything from health care to road maintenance is left to suffer. To the Minister of Finance, let's just make this clear. Your government is willing to carry on with cuts to public services rather than compelling corporations to pay their fair share.
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the honourable member is more or less misleading this House when he suggests that this is an Alberta tax loophole. It was nothing of the kind, and he should perhaps do his homework. Mr. Speaker, the fact is that we actually took this all the way to the Supreme Court. We did everything in our power to try to recoup as much as we possibly could, and did actually recoup close to $80 million, Mr. Speaker. But the actual loophole that this was under is actually in the Ontario jurisdiction. The Ontario government has worked with us. We've changed it. We've closed it. And frankly, Mr. Speaker, we are aggressively pursuing any other that we may.
Honourable member.
Thank you. Well, given that this government relies on corporate tax to account for only about 12% of its total budget, and apparently our government can't even collect that properly, and given that this PC government has turned its poor revenue management practices into an excuse to cut public services, how can this minister possibly defend a budget that hurts Alberta's families while its government allows massive corporations to get away without paying their taxes as they should?
Honourable Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, given that the question was entirely inappropriate and unfactual, I'm going to give my answer, which is factual, and that is we will aggressively pursue anyone who is not abiding by our tax laws in our jurisdiction and beyond if they're paying taxes in this province. We will continue to take matters to the highest court in this land, Mr. Speaker, if we believe that we have even the slightest chance of winning. And, Mr. Speaker, we will also honour these courts in this land because that's what we do in this province.
Well, Mr. Speaker, given that Alberta still does not use the much more efficient Canada Revenue Agency for collecting corporate tax, and given that this PC government has been dishing out poorly thought out and unsustainable corporate tax cuts for more than 10 years, will this minister cut our collective losses now, set a reasonable corporate tax rate, stop this bargain basement race to the bottom that only seems to benefit large corporations with large offshore accounts and small armies of clever tax lawyers like Deloitte and Touche?
Well, Mr. Speaker, my suggestion is he's probably extremely lucky that he said that in this House and not outside those doors. Mr. Speaker, this government and the tax policy that we have has done some interesting things, Mr. Speaker. It has created the strongest economy in our country. It has created an economy that has some of the lowest unemployment rates in our country. Mr. Speaker, we have the strongest financial position of any jurisdiction in, I would say, North America. And, Mr. Speaker, Albertans told us to live within our means, and that's exactly what this budget is doing.